The military infrastructure of NATO is approaching our borders for several decades. This process is the subject of the most thorough investigation by our defense ministry. Russia is taking necessary measures to ensure its security against the background of the processes you have outlined. Starmer, Macron, and Merz made joint statements after their meeting with Zelensky in London. The 5 conditions of the truce in Ukraine were mentioned, including the statement that the EU leaders support direct negotiations between Russia and Ukraine, with the participation of the United States and European countries. What is the reaction of the Kremlin? The reaction of the Kremlin was voiced even before this statement was made. It was voiced on Friday by the President during a discussion at the St. Petersburg Economic Forum. The President said that in the current conditions, against the background of the actions we see from the Kyiv regime, terrorist, criminal, directed against children, it is very difficult to imagine how to negotiate with the Kyiv regime now. In addition, I would also like to draw special attention to the fact that the Kremlin does not talk about peace, and at the same time emphasizes its intention to assist the Kyiv regime in the production of new types of weapons for the continuation of the war. Is this a discontinuity? Is this not a big contradiction? And does this not better demonstrate the true intentions of the European capitals? There is a situation in Crimea where today a drone hit a passenger train, as a result of which the movement of passenger trains in Crimea was stopped. In addition, there is a shortage of energy carriers, food, and so on. What is the assessment of what is happening to the Kremlin? Of course, the relevant authorities are working to ensure that there is no shortage. We see a lot of unfounded agitation. Let's remember how a couple of years ago, in Moscow and other major cities of our country, they bought buckwheat, while there was no shortage of buckwheat. Sometimes such emotional actions lead to awkward situations, but again, all the authorities are working to ensure that there is no shortage. But the main thing in this is exactly what you mentioned. This is a hit on a passenger train. This is a criminal act of the Kyiv regime. Of course, such actions significantly complicate any further attempts to reach a peaceful settlement. We remain open to this, but you can see that the Kyiv regime itself is doing everything to slow down this process. About Crimea. Regarding the supply of fuel, gasoline sales have been limited for a long time. At one time, there was a limit on the sale of gasoline for cash. In general, is there a threat of a fuel crisis in Crimea due to the isolation from the mainland of Russia? Measures are being taken to prevent this from happening. Our Ministry of Energy is working on this. At the moment, there are indeed certain problems, and a complex of measures are being developed to correct this situation. Pashinyan's party wins the elections in Armenia with 49.8% of the votes. How does the Kremlin assess the results? I will refrain from making any official comments on this matter because no final results have been announced yet. We are waiting for these final results. For now, we are carefully recording all the messages that appear around these elections. 434. Among other things, we are recording messages about the numerous violations that took place during these elections.